Feeding your child is difficult. When you come home with a newborn baby, learning how to feed your child, making sure they get enough, learning how they latch, learning how to hold them when they feed, all of those things are daunting. When you're a medically complex parent, same thing. You've already gone through the newborn phase, but now maybe you're going through a completely different phase of learning how to feed your baby with a G-tube. I've already shown you some videos about how to give formula through a tube, how the G-tube works, and also how to give your child meds. But what about the pump? Typically, if you have a G-tube child, you're going to come home with the pump. My daughter was fed via the pump for a couple years before now when she's only bolus fed. There are different things like continuous feed, bolus feed, etc. There's things like flush and prime. I want to give you definitions of what those things mean so that you will be ready to take care of your child at home. Remember, think of the big picture. Think past the beeps. Think past the no flow error. Think about the fact that you're able to feed your child, and thank God for that. In this video, I'm going to try to go over how to use the pump, very basic, how to start a feed, how to clean the pump, and then in my description, I'm going to give you more resources with what other people do in order to feed their baby. My goal is to only give you the basics. I just want to help you with those first couple days you go to at home. If you're watching this at the hospital, maybe you can watch this to prepare yourself for what's going to come. Don't be overwhelmed. Don't be afraid. Be patient with yourself if you just cannot handle the beeps. If you have to pause and regroup before you try again, do that. Everything will be okay if you take breaks for yourself. I hope this video helps. Please leave comments, please subscribe, and always don't be ashamed to be Dr. Mom or Dad. A few things you're going to hear, nurses, doctors, parents, everybody's going to talk about these few things. When you pour formula into the bag, there's still going to be air in the tube. And so what you're going to do is you're going to push formula through the tube in order to prime it. The goal of this is to prevent air from going into your child's stomach. Next, we have flushes, which I don't have a video of that in this video, but a flush is basically rinsing out the bag. After you've fed your child, you pour water into the bag, you prime it one more time, and then you flush your child with water. What this does is it makes sure your child gets the entire feed, and it also rinses out the bag. The third thing I wanted to note is in this video, I do use a little bit of soap in order to wash the infinity pump bag. However, the only way you want to use soap is if you wash it, rinse it, and dry it thoroughly. This is plastic, so treat it like a plastic bowl that you're using to feed your child. You don't want there to be any soap in there. The other two definitions I want to show you about are continuous feed versus bolus feed. Continuous feed is a feed longer than 8 hours. So for instance, if your child needs to be fed at a slow rate all day long, this would be considered a continuous feed and is always a pump. A bolus feed is different. A bolus feed can be shorter, so 30 minutes to an hour, and it can be done via syringe or it can be done via pump. So whatever your child is coming home with, those two are the primary methods of feeding your baby. Hope that helps. This morning, I want to show you how to pour formula into an infinity pump bag, connect the bag to the pump, set the settings on the pump, and then start the pump. This is the packaging of the infinity bag. There's different types. There's an orange one and a blue one. The orange one is for smaller feeds. I used it for breast milk. And this teal one is the one that people primarily use. You're gonna feel like doing this, but you actually tear it from the side. This is how it comes. You're gonna unfold it. You're gonna take this white part off the tubing. Next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take this off. We always used to forget this at the beginning. Take this off. If you don't, it's gonna pop off during the prime because of the pressure. All right, you're gonna untangle it. Now, we're gonna go over here to our pump. So you can hang this up right here. And they make little things like this, by the way, you can buy from Etsy that can also hold your feeding pump. This is how you install it, okay? What you're gonna do is, this opens. You're gonna take this part of the bag and see how it lines up. So this is gonna go over this, and then this is gonna sit right in here. You're gonna wrap this around, pull it. It's okay, you're not gonna break it. And then you pull this and you push this here. The goal is for these two parts to be in that gap there. And then you see these little dots. The tubing of the pump fits right there, and this controls the pressure. Then we close. You wanna make sure these guys aren't clogged or anything. You wanna make sure the line doesn't have any kinks in it. And we're gonna put the formula in. So in order to put formula in, we have our homemade blend. You're gonna make sure it's shaked. We warm ours. Make sure the bag is pretty open and go slow so it doesn't bubble up. Formula in. I'm gonna put the cap on, twist it, hang it back up. Now, one note is this bag, this is rarely correct. This guideline right here, per feeds are typically 8 ounces or less. 8 ounces is 240. So right now, this is correct. But if it's slanted like this, if it's up like this, it's not gonna be correct. So in order to get the correct measurement, make sure it's straight, and then you're gonna know what the dose is. We never write anything on the bag. That's typically for hospitals. How to work the pump. First of all, you're gonna find the on-off button right here. Hold it until it beeps, and then you can let it go. This is just the way Infinity opens. Those numbers don't mean much. Rate dose is typically the one we're gonna work on. Rate is how fast the formula is going in, and dose is how many mLs. So the first time you hit it, it's gonna be the rate. Second time you hit it, it's gonna be the dose. 240 is correct. Rate is 215. So that means that 215 ml is gonna go through per hour. And so we're gonna make this higher because we want her to be fed over an hour. So we're gonna do 240 ml per hour. If your child needs to be fed faster, then you're gonna do higher. You just gotta do the math and division. Once this is all done, you're gonna go back here and you're gonna hit prime. Now, you hold it, wait till it beeps. This one has auto prime. So once it beeps, we're good. But some of them, you have to hold this until it primes. Now what's happening is the formula is going down and filling the tube so that you don't push air into your child. Priming is very important. There's about 10-20 ml in this tube. So if you don't prime it, what's gonna happen is you're gonna push 10 to 20 ml of air in your child's stomach. With a G-tube, you wanna make sure you don't have excess air in the stomach. And so priming is always extremely important. Now, with the Infinity, typically it stops priming about here, and then we'll have to annually prime the rest of the way. And yes, in the middle of the night, you have a lot of patience with this thing. Now we're gonna stop. See, it stopped right there. Then we're gonna auto prime, hold it. I'm gonna hit it again, stop. All right, and now you're ready to connect it to the patient. So at the moment I'm making this video, my daughter does not need to be fed. So I'm gonna give you an example right here. We're going to unscrew one of these, screw in the pump, make sure it screws in nicely, connect to patient, make sure you unclamp it, and then pretend this is connected to the patient. You're gonna hit run. If this circle here is not going, that means it's not running, and that is the rate in which it's going. So this bag is gonna empty in about 30 minutes. If you need to pause it, you hit pause. So as it's running, there's going to be something that clogs the pump. After a few minutes, what it's gonna do is it's gonna beep and it's gonna say no flow. So when it does that, hit pause and you're gonna double check stuff. First thing you're gonna check is make sure there's no kinks in the line. But now I look up and look. I haven't unclamped it. So now we're gonna unclamp it. All right, now we're gonna start again. So now we have the no flow error again. I'm gonna double check everything, going down the line, and I'm purposefully doing this to show you that if the line is like this, you're going to get the no flow error. So what you have to do is push it like this, unkink it, and then push it with your finger to make it round again. Start again, should be fine. One of the things that I won't be able to show completely because I can't force a clog. So for instance, this is a home blend, and home blends sometimes clog the pump. Typically what happens is it clogs in a few places. The first part you want to look is down here at the bottom. So you see how this tube right here connects to the bag? Sometimes you got to push this around and massage this a little bit if there's any clogs right here. Next step is you go down here. This is typically the place where everything clogs. It's going to clog right in here. So one of the hacks I learned, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, is you take this off and you're going to massage this little area where the eye drop is. Sometimes you can actually take this entire thing out like this, massage. When I say massage, I'm literally just squeezing it over and over and over again. And do both sides. Put it back in. You might want to restart it. You turn it on. You're going to switch the bag, and then you're going to prime it to make sure it goes through. And if this part is moving right here, but this part is not moving, then that means that the clog is in here. If it was still clogged, sometimes what you're going to have to do is manually switch the bag, or if you don't have another bag, you might have to wash the entire bag. It's a hassle. I recommend trying to get 40 bags from insurance just in case bags clog. To take off the bag, you remove this, and this will be empty, and you just undo what you did before. And now we'll wash it. Infinity bags are something that you typically throw away after every day, and then you wash or rinse in between. When you flush an infinity pump, it automatically rinses it, so I recommend doing that after every feed. However, if your insurance company doesn't cover any backup, you may want to learn how to wash them. Now, I will say that there are some different ways of doing this. You can attach it to the pump, you can prime it through the pump, and there's some hacks where you take apart this part right here in order to let the water flow. The thing with this is that it prevents water from just flowing on its own. You have to actually hack it or prime it in order for the water to get between this one and this one. The hack takes time and the pump takes time. So I want to show you how we wash our pump. Now remember, this is typically after you flush the pump, so this may or may not be in there. However, another reason why you wash pumps is if there's a clog, and if you can get rid of the clog and reuse the bag. But sometimes you can never get rid of clogs, so just prepare yourself for that. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna wash this bag part. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to first rinse it really good with water. And again, there's no right way to wash these things. Hospitals are gonna tell you to throw it away. If you're at a hospital, I'm gonna put some soap in there. If you're at a hospital, they throw away a bag after each use. We don't have the luxury of doing that, right? So what we end up doing is flushing, rinsing with the pump. Some people put the entire pump bag in the fridge so that then the food does not go bad. You can also wash it, but when you come home with your baby, you're gonna realize that things like this just are not priority. So you rinse it with water, and then if you need to wash these to save them for emergencies, then this is what you do. So we are just gently massaging it, and as you can tell, right, the water does not come through here automatically. We're gonna have to force that. So how we force it is we get a syringe, which I'm gonna use one of my syringes that I'm actually washing right now because that's just easier. I'm gonna get some of this soapy water that I'm using to wash the syringes right now, and I'm going to use an extension. This is an old extension, as you can tell. It's actually stained because of the turmeric that we put in my daughter's food. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna attach the extension, okay? And then you're gonna clamp this and you're gonna unscrew this other one. So what we're doing right now is we're basically creating a channel in which the water is gonna go straight back into the pump. Screw this on, make sure this is clamped, and you have to push pretty hard for the pressure. As you can see, it's going back into the bag, okay? Then we're gonna rinse this out again. One thing you always wanna make sure of is you get all the soap, because if you reuse this, you need to rinse it thoroughly and dry it thoroughly so that no soap is going into your baby. And then we're gonna do this one more time. I'm gonna get clean water now. One nice thing is you don't have to worry about air bubbles, so I can just do it that lazy way. Screw it and push. Take off the extension, and then we're just gonna check and make sure all the food has come out. No residual, perfect. And then you can hang it or lay it to dry. Again, you just put fresh water in here. So it's okay if some of this, what's in the tube, goes in your child, but you have to make sure that there's no soap and it's rinsed very well. And you can also blow it up like this and set it like this so that it dries. Again, there are so many different ways of doing this. I'm just showing you what's worked for our family. There's a hack. Again, if you want to learn the hack, you're welcome to. I don't know it well enough in order to show you on this video, but this is just the beginning, right? This is just when you're coming home from the hospital and you're learning different things. I wanted to show you a quick, easy way of washing the bag. Thank you.